All right, the 18th season, number 18, happens to be Virat Kohli's number. Is it 18 times the charm for RCB? Let's find out. Let's unpack the squad. So starting right at the top, Rajat Patidar, the captain of RCB. He's going to be leading Virat Kohli, probably someone that he grew up idolizing.
Yeah, no, he got the big C this year, and I know Kohli did support him in the offseason by a few statements came out here and there of how Kohli really trusts his leadership and has decided to play under him. But no, big steps for him, and he's an exciting player. And could, as you mentioned in your monologue, could this be the season the RCB fans been waiting for? And 1-8, it's auspicious.
I mean, just like Punjab, every year's the year, right?
Yeah. No, but like as you were talking about, the batters. I think if you look at take a step back, overall squad, incredible squad, great talent, and I think as you were talking about off air, a lot to talk about. So I guess we'll stick with the batters starting off. So Roger Partidar gets a big C. Then they got obviously big match winning players like Tim David. Let's not forget we talked about the big 1-8 Virat Kohli, Devdutt Padikkal, Phil Salt as well. So a lot to choose from. How do you just look at the all round, all focused on the batters? How do you look at them so far?
Uh, if I look at the batters and the all-rounders combined from a batting perspective, there's a lot of firepower in that team. A
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
firepower. You would argue Devdutt Padikkal is probably the only player on that team that you could say is more of an anchor role type player. I haven't really I don't really see him playing that big game unless he's, changed his game a bit. But if you look at every other player like Phil Salt, explosive, Tim David, explosive, Padidar, Kohli, explosive. I mean, Kohli could play any gear he likes, really. Jacob Bethel, explosive. Liam Livingston, explosive. Krunal Pandya, explosive. Romario Shepherd, who's slowly becoming like a pretty reliable like six hitter, somewhat along those the Pollard, DJ Bravo type
Yeah.
player, can come in, swing from ball one, right? They have power this time with the batting. And so again, just like the other teams, it's just going to be interesting how they put the combination together because once again, you can only play four foreign players, and I think that's what makes it so interesting when you do squad selection because it's so hard to leave out these foreign players.
No, exactly that. Like as you mentioned, you got to try fitting in Liam Livingston, Romario Shepherd, Phil Salt, Tim David as well. Key player for Tim David. He could be. Oh no, to your point, that's 4 or 5 players right there. So no, I think from a batting perspective, we didn't even go to the bowlers, and they have some great international bowlers as well. It's going to be a headache for RCB fans and management this year for sure.
Yeah. So talking about bowlers, so looking at who they've selected, it's interesting that they went with Josh Hazelwood and Lungi Nagiri. I found that really interesting because they haven't had the greatest seasons when it comes to T20, specifically T20. Lungi Nagiri especially has kind of fell off from the South African pecking order. I mean, he's still in and around the team, but he isn't first choice anymore, especially in the white ball format. So it's interesting to see him get selected, and then Josh Hazelwood is on the twilight of his career, and maybe RCB is looking for some reliability with the ball.
Yeah, I see that perspective, and I think you just hit it right on the nail there. Reliability is, I think, what those bowlers give you, but is reliability going to win you championships? I think that's a question that will definitely come up. I think as I know we just focused on some of the international players. I'm excited to see Rasik Salam. I think he's an interesting bowler, and he's a tricky bowler to face. But to your point, I think he's more of a reliable bowler than sort of a wicket taker or explosive guy. So to your point, the common theme of reliability is there within the squad, but how does that reliable bowling fall with like explosive batting when you have squads out there with explosives on both sides? I think only
Yeah.
time will tell.
Where is your wicket taker? That's the question. Who's your
Hmm.
who's your go-to guy in this bowling lineup for RCB? Suyash Sharma? I don't think so.
They're gonna give the new ball to 35-year-old Bhuvi Kumar. A little swing action.
Yeah, but again, reliability, right? Like I don't see an X factor in the bowling lineup there. Like Yash Dayal hasn't, like, he's been in and out of teams. Swapnil Singh, don't know much about him. Nuwan Tushara, another interesting selection, Sri Lankan bowler, um,
Yeah,
is in and around the Sri Lankan team, but doesn't consistently play for Sri Lanka. So I really like they did a great job with the batting selections and the all rounders, but the bowling just like I like when I see that attack, I'm all I see is fours and sixes.
I agree. I agree, and I think this is a great transition to our other segment of where do we see the weaknesses in the squad. I think my answer is bowling. I'm not sure what your answer is, but
Yeah, 100%.
all roads lead to the bowling department. And to your point there, in a big game, and you give sort of the new ball to the RCB bowlers. Are you really scared? Maybe Josh Hazelwood with his line in length, but when you have field restrictions, does that really matter?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be an interesting tournament for the bowlers, especially.
Yeah, and you look at the spinners in the spinning department, like they don't have a quality spinner. And now I know I sound like I'm knocking Suresh Sharma. I know he's shown glimpses of doing well when he played for KKR, I think it was the last season. But he's young, he's 21, doesn't have a lot of experience. Again, he's 21, right? So they don't have an experienced spinner in that team. And they're going to be relying a lot on all rounders, I feel. Livingston, Bethel, they'll
Yeah.
probably give them some overs. And I feel there's a lot of onus going to be on Krunal Pandya to lead the spin attack. And again, Krunal Pandya is not a wicket taker. He's a line and length bowler, right? He doesn't spin the ball a whole lot. He's smart. He's street smart. I'll give him that. But he's not an out and out wicket taker. Like when you look at a KKR having Varun Chakravarti. You look at Yuzi Chahal, who plays for who does he play for now?
I think he plays
Punjab.
for Delhi
He
now.
plays for Punjab.
Punjab.
He plays
Sorry.
for Punjab.
Oh
So when
yeah,
you
yeah.
look at those bowlers and you look at RCB spinners stacking up against other team spinners, it's like, well, they don't have an X factor spinner here.
No, I completely see that. And just to further reinforce your point, there's one quick comment for me. We've seen how all rounder spinners have done in India since the England tour. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
work out too well, right? Livingston got smacked around, a few of the other Root got smacked around. So, you sometimes need sort of full on spinners, I think, on subcontinent wickets to really win tournaments. So I think it'll be an interesting, at least for the spinning department, as you mentioned, for RCB.
Yeah, absolutely. So who do you see your key player for RCB?
It's a great question. I think I'll start off with this one as well. Key player for RCB, I'm going to say Liam Livingston. I think there
Interesting.
is, yep, I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on him with bat and ball. And as we just mentioned earlier, from a bowling perspective, especially, if he gets selected in the squad. And he did not show up for the England tour in India. Let's be honest with us. He did not play as well as everyone expected. But I think a informed Liam Livingston can really push you across games. So I
Mm.
think a key player that if he clicks will do really well for kicker is Liam Livingston. What about yours?
Okay, so for me, it's going to be a bowler. It's going to be Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. And I say
Okay.
that again because he is definitely going to lead this attack. I'm looking at these fast bowlers, and I don't see anyone else opening the bowling who's an Indian player. And it has to be Bhuvi. And I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on him because he has to perform. And I know he's, again, on the twilight of his career, um, but he's going to be expected to be able to one take wickets and two contain runs as well, especially at the death.
Yeah, no, I see that as well. I think again, servant of international cricket, servant of the IPL. So it'll be interesting as to see Bhuvi, at kick here. I'm sorry, at RCB.
Underrated player. Who's yours? Who's
Ooh,
yours?
see, it's a few to choose from. I'm gonna go underrated Tim David, and I'm reason for saying this is because obviously I think he got overshadowed by a lot of the key players in his earlier teams. Especially with
Mhm.
Mumbai Indians. I hate saying a midget amongst giants, really, right? When you look at those players in the IPL at least. So
Although
I
Tim
think
David's a giant.
I know he is a big unit for sure, for sure. But I think being in RCB, being amongst players who are, I would say, as you mentioned, more on the twilight of their hour. Obviously, he's with Rajat Patidar, some of the younger players as well. But I think it'll allow him to broaden his horizons a little bit more, and it'll allow him to, I think, as he should, carry on a little more responsibility. So I think with that responsibility, he may change from an underrated player to a perfectly rated player. But I'm gonna go with Tim David is underrated right now.
Yeah, so he's my selection too. Tim Davis my selection too, and I like him because he will never give you a big 50 or a big 100, but he gives you the firepower that you need at the end of the innings. He just has the ability to go crazy from ball one, and very rarely does that occur with players at this level. You think about players like that, maybe Dhoni, Pollard,
Yep,
at the back end of the innings, able to hit sixes and fours right from ball one. And he's been doing that consistently, whether it's in the IPL, whether it's in the other leagues, whether it's for Australia. And I feel like sometimes that goes unnoticed because it's not a 50, it's not a 100, it's maybe a
fair.
20 or a 30, but it comes off in 10 balls, 12 balls, and that can win you games.
Yeah, no, very very good point there. That's 100% a reason why people don't see him because it's those quick firepower innings that really change the momentum of a game. So no, I completely agree with you there.
Awesome. So where do you see RCB heading?
I know we said big 1-8 season for the big 1-8 king, but unfortunately, as always, I don't see him winning it, nor do I see him making it into the playoffs. So I think it's going to be a
Interesting.
mid-season for RCB. What are your thoughts?
Okay, okay. So I feel that they're gonna punch above their weight. They're gonna
Okay,
tease. They're gonna give glimpses, but they're gonna fall short, just like RCB does. And I feel they might get to the playoffs, but part of me is saying they may end up at fifth. They'll just miss the playoffs, I feel. But who knows? Who knows? Season number 18. Uh, Again, Virat Kohli is looking for that elusive IPL title. Is this it? Who knows? I guess we'll have to wait and find out.
maybe again, big 1-8 season, but it could be just regular scheduled programming for RCB fans.
Which they're so used to by now.
Uh,
Awesome. Good place to end it there for RCB. Let's move on to the next one.